The pillows are fluff thanks to Miss Emily. The couch is wide enough, join the family. It's all love while we laugh at Bert's criminalities. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup at hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh, please, the puppies need me. Ooh, oh, please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credential stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup and hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh please, the puppies need me. Oh please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credentialed stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup that hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Barry, Sofa Squad. How is everybody doing?
So glad to be here. And I can't wait to chat about this case because it's a lot. It's really heartbreaking. I think because of the amount of time that went between their divorce and this incident, I think it's just really, really shocking. So I can't wait to dive in on it.
I know, me too. Thank you for taking time out of your pre-snowy day to come hang out in the sofa and talk to us here. Y'all, if you're not familiar with Dr. Barry, she's amazing. She's collabed here many times. And her link for her YouTube channel is down below. You can check her out there. She comes in here. She gives us her credentialed opinions and thoughts on what might be going on in these cases that we follow and whatnot. And then also her just fun commentary and vibes. So, and thank you mods for being here. Ginger, I appreciate you. I appreciate all the mods being here and the Sofa Squad and the Psych Nerds. It's good to meet all of y'all. So let's quickly just talk over for people who are kind of like, I've seen this, but what is it? What's up? Let's just talk like our little 60-second overview. This is the case. These are the main players, that type thing. So Michael McKe is the name of the defendant. He has been charged by allegedly taking the life of his ex-wife, Mo'Nique Tepe. Her husband, who he has also allegedly killed, is Spencer Tepe. They did have 2 small children and a dog who he did leave alive. Well, you know, allegedly he did or whatever, in the household. So they were fine, you know, physically and whatnot. He had come from Chicago, traveled to Ohio, did this, went back. He was captured and then extradited to Ohio. He is being held without bond, and that's kind of where things stand right now. He has a pretty high profile lawyer who's on his side and working with him. She's known to get people off of the death, say, like, you know, life without what are the words I'm looking for? Life without parole or life with parole versus the death penalty. She's a big anti-death penalty defense attorney, very no nonsense, very boom, 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 boom. And that's kind of where things stand. Now, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with this, and this might be going on, and this has happened, and this. We're going to get into those. Hey, Audra. Before we jump in, Dr. Barry, are there any specific things that you're like, ooh, let's start here, or ooh, I want to say this, or
let's go wherever you, yeah.
Okay, so let's start with this. So allegedly what has taken place is, well, not allegedly. So this part right here, Dr. Spencer, he was a dentist. He did not show up for work. The owner / like coworker, basically friend, all these things, does some 911 phone calls. A welfare check is done. This is when the bodies are discovered. And one of the things that popped off in the beginning was all these theories of how did he get into the house? Like, there's all these cameras. We have a little bit of footage here. I'm seeing reports that he might have gotten into the basement and there is a burglary charge.
Okay.
Now, I've also seen a lot of theories about, well, he could have done this with the thumb pad and done this and done that. I think personally, and again, this is sofa speculation. This is not a fact. I don't know this. I don't think that if he went and created a ruse at that hour, that number one, Mo'Nique would have come downstairs and been like, what's up, and open the door. I don't Spencer would either, just in this day and age with Ring cameras and Nest cameras. To me, it felt like he either gained access somehow and got to the room or whatever, and I just kind of feel like that's probably what took place, almost like a surprise, if that makes sense. Surprise them even in the house, but I don't think he got them to open the door.
Mhm.
Do you What is your thoughts on that part of the case?
It definitely seems like it was forced entry as his trial proceeds, and we know the evidence because I don't know if a door lock was picked or what happened. I know we have a security alarm that are windows, so when we arm it, like, there are things in place, and, I know some people, because, like, if they have pets or dogs, like, they might not set the motion sensor if they're away just for their animals, but it does sound like they were surprised because I thought, um, the couple was in their bedroom. Am I wrong? Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I
So
believe
it
the
wasn't.
body
Yeah,
was found.
yeah. And, so I think it was a surprise. I don't think they knew. I also don't know what type of training he has. I don't know that if he was ever in the military. He looks and that could just be so that's just looking at a situation, not knowing somebody's history, not knowing anything. I'll be interested to see what his digital, um, history looks like. Um but that is just really, I do think they were shocked. I don't think they knew. And the other thing that surprised me, the 911 call, if you haven't listened to it, you don't, but if you do listen to it, I thought it was really powerful that when the 911 operator asked the person to go and check the victim, he was like, "I can't." He was like, I had so much respect for that because I think he knew this was clearly a situation. They weren't savable, and him going and looking, touching, doing any type of body compressions or anything, it was going to cause more trauma. And I think the kids, because during that call, you can hear, the kids and in the background, and so I was so glad that that person was just like, I can't. I just can't go in there."
I loved that part about that too. I just did my main video today on it and was talking about that very thing where it was like, it gives me goosebumps now of hearing his voice and the dude's like crying and like it puts you there, right? Where you're just like, because that's probably how I would react when I realized like, oh wait, there's no saving this. I I couldn't.
Mhm,
Already what I had seen, the little bit would have me not
mhm,
doing well for quite some time, and he probably had all that chaos. Now, I wanna ask you this while we're on the
yeah,
subject of this, because I've seen this come up so much, and I've seen people talk about it, whatever, and this is the affect or the tone of the 911 caller. Now, one thing that I've
okay.
been curious is asking people about, because so many people, not just, like, in general across with social media, are like, "Oh my gosh, the 911 caller was so rude there," or not the caller, the
Oh,
dispatcher,
operator.
the
Mhm,
operator, I'm sorry. Um,
yeah,
they were rude, they were this, they were that, ba, 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 ba. And when I listened to the 3 calls today, the original one, where it's like, "Hey, he's not here at work," and the dispatcher's kinda like, well, almost a little annoyed, like, "Well, okay, so is there like a whatever, or this, that, the other?" And then another time that sounds like someone else is en route to the house, and they say, "I'm en route," and the dispatcher acts annoyed, like, "Why are all these calls coming from here?" And then the third one of, "Oh, and there's actually a body there," and they're more like, "Okay, let's get to business."
and
So
and
go
and
ahead.
I don't know how Ohio is, so I know for our area, we have a non-emergency line that can be, like, if you need to talk directly to the police, um, so everybody handles situations different, and 911 can get you immediately in contact because I think they knew something was something was really wrong, and they wanted to get emergency services there as soon as possible. If you call a police station, because the person has to be missing for a certain period of time, I think they just wanted to get a welfare check done, but and people do call 911 because their McDonald's order is wrong or because, so some people do like call 911 too much, or, a child might accidentally call because they don't understand the math problem, or so I can understand 911 not wanting to take up the line for something that might not be an emergency, but they knew their coworker, and I'm so glad that they first thing in the morning, they immediately are like, he didn't come in, this is unlike him, and they knew something was, and they tried to reach her, the wife, and they couldn't reach her either, and that was unusual.
Yeah, and that part that you mentioned right there is, because for me, and again, I'm sitting here, what do you call it, Monday morning quarterbacking or whatever from the
Yeah,
sofa, where I'm like, could I do a 911 dispatcher thing?
yeah,
No, I
I would.
would lose it on the first 30 minutes of training and be in trauma therapy the rest of my life, right? So hats off to anyone who even is like, yeah, I can do that. So there's that. So for me, listening to it and somebody calling in, I'm like, you can tell when somebody, and I shouldn't even say that, when somebody knows their loved one or their friend or their coworker and is saying, they haven't been to work. This is really weird. And then to top it off, we can't get a hold of the wife, which makes it like for sure something's not right. It's like I tend to believe that,
Yeah,
and then I'm like, well, maybe they get 10 phone calls a day like this. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
whoops, sorry, they're in the bathroom actually.
yeah.
And this is like the ninth one that day. I have no idea. Like, I don't know what it's like on their side of the fence. You know what I'm saying?
And I love that the Sofa Squad and the Psych Nerds that were allowed to have a dark sense of humor. So when I can't reach my mom, I take a breath. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't call. But that's because sometimes her phone died, or like she's like if I can't reach her, but if I couldn't reach her for like a day or something, then that's when yes, I would. So I actually have the number for her neighbor. And we intentionally did that just so that I wouldn't have to call for a police officer to go, so that I have a neighbor's phone number so that a neighbor could go. Because my mom, she's almost 70. She's in the chat. And she lives by her. And I just want, for safety, we made sure that I can at least reach her neighbor. But my coworker wouldn't have the phone number for a neighbor. So I think they did what was completely understandable for their situation, and they were right. There was a major emergency, and the police, I'm sure there was a huge scene, because now they're collecting evidence, and then they're starting that manhunt to figure out what happened.
You had to be like, what took place. And one thing too on those 911 phone calls, the last one where it's like a body has been confirmed, and they're like, the dispatcher's like, I'm gonna put you on the phone with medical. And I don't know if that means like the ambulance people or whoever it is, but you can hear a complete energy shift. And that medical person, he starts talking to, it sounds like a dude who called, and that's where he's like, I can't look, and he's basically, they're beyond help kind of thing. And you can hear it's a very much more of an empathetic,
Yeah.
like, okay, this is what we're doing, like this is, here we are. um and that energy, you just see it shift. And when you ask them in there, like, are drugs involved, because the age of them, it's like, and again, they don't know on the phone yet, and he doesn't either. He just knows there's bodies in the house, like whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, how did these relatively young people just, what happened? This is weird. This
And
doesn't sound like
also
a normal
when them
thing.
checking in for substances, that also lets their officers be aware, because there are certain substances that trace amounts can be harmful to their officers, and so they handle it different if they know that they're working, or if the person, if because sometimes a person can look like they might be deceased, but they can try the, what's that? Narcan or something. Like they can try to, there are still some life-saving measures that can be attempted. But this was not a situation where by the time anyone knew, there wasn't anything anyone could do. I also wonder if for this investigation, if they're going to look back of if this was the ex-husband's first time coming by the house, because it seems like, because they have video of somebody that looks a lot like him walking down an alley, because it seems like he parked his car further away, because if he had drove it straight up to their house, there would be ring camera. Like one of the neighbors, people probably would have caught him on their ring camera, but somehow, for whatever reason, that alley, they were able to catch this individual walking. And I would just wonder if there are any other times, because there are a ton of tolls between Ohio and Chicago. There are a bunch of tolls. And so they would be able to look back and see if this was the first time.
One of the things on that note that you just said right there that's going to be very interesting is when the digital evidence of this starts to come out. Because right now what happens with these cases oftentimes is so much of it is being, we don't know. And so that leaves room for speculation and what's this and how do you do it? I mean, I do it too, right? So when we see this stuff that you're talking about there, these are questions I have too. And they kind of coincide along with my overall question of why that night, why that moment, what made him drive 5 hours? You know what I mean? Because this is like, you had to really kind of want to do this, Was he, like you said, you didn't say this, but did he plan it out? He had been coming by there multiple times, like, I'm going to do it. Or driving by and like watching them live their happy life, and just eating him alive. And then something took place, whether it's like what Ashley Banfield was talking about, those notices getting sent out, something triggered him that made him go off that evening. And also to override, and for lack of a better term, because when I see that, I'm like, there's cameras everywhere. Like, what would make you just go over that besides rage or some kind of an emotion or something to make you lose your senses? And I guess because I hold him at a different standard, because I'm like, this is like my term's like a fancy doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Vascular surgeon. Like he's a vascular surgeon. Just because somebody has reached a high level of academic success does not mean that they are emotionally intelligent, does not mean that they are a safe person, because I think they are going to prosecute this as a DV incident. And I think it should be. We talk about post-separation harm that can happen once people decide to leave. And what's more common is for it to happen like closer in time to a separation or divorce. This was years. They were legally divorced in 2017. Emily D. Baker went over all of their legal, like any of the publicly available documents related to their divorce. It doesn't seem like it was contentious. They didn't have children. They both just kept whatever they came in with. So it doesn't seem like there was a big fight, and they just both went on with their lives. But I think and my personal thoughts, I don't know this for sure, I think he was jealous that she was happy. She was in love. She had a beautiful family. And because in his mind, he might have thought, you're going to miss me. Like when they got divorced, like this was, you know what I mean? Like you'll never be as happy as you are. And I don't know this for sure, but this is sofa speculation. We're going to do that here. That I don't think he could tolerate her moving on without him and having this beautiful one. Because I wonder if he blamed her. Like you're the problem in our relationship. You're the reason why our marriage, because maybe he had to look at himself a little and be like, wait a minute, like maybe it was me. Maybe it wasn't her. Maybe she wasn't the, toxic person. Because people can gaslight people and make them think that like, oh, you'll never meet anybody like me. If you leave me, you'll be miserable the rest of your life.
And it almost makes you like, I love all that insight you just gave. If you look at it through the lens of like shift everything around, pretend that they split up and she just, ended up having a bad life, struggled financially, couldn't land a man, blah, 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 blah. how she would probably still be alive, because in his world, I wonder if he was like, she'll come back to me, or even if she doesn't, I still have control of maybe the narrative, whether it's the internal narrative or the public narrative of she's worse off without me. See everybody, see how much better like she was with me. And now I'm this, I had all this money. I'm in my career now. I'm doing this doctor stuff, you know, all the things or whatever. And yeah, that time, how far out it is, that to me, and again, I don't know all the statistics, or you know what I'm saying, like the stuff that you're talking about behind it, of like what kind of standardly happens in situations like this. But to me, going that long, I'm like, wow, like he was bitter, like he hung on to that, because that's a long time. And for him to not move on some level, or maybe he did on some way, but clearly not enough to make him, leave. Have you seen the interview with Spencer's sister? So
No,
most
not yet.
Okay, so there is that one and another one where, and I forget, I'm gonna just kind of say the vibe of one thing she said, but she was like, I don't think Mo hated him,
Okay.
but she felt like she was gonna deal with him the rest of her life. Or no, it wasn't that she hated him, that she was afraid of him, or I forget what she said, and I don't want to misquote her now, but it was one of those things where it was almost like, yeah, this was contentious. This dude, there was issues, right?
And they were married for less than a year and divorced. So he lived in Virginia for a period of time. Y'all know I'm in Virginia because part of his, I think one of his residencies or part of his medical training was in Virginia. You haven't heard any ex-partners, you haven't heard anybody come forward and say anything. And I wonder if he was convicted, if anybody would come out. Because I just wonder if there's a history of him not being safe in relationships. That type of harm is the hardest for people to come for to report to the police. And so sometimes people, they just separate from the person and it's never on their legal record. And but a lot of us are thinking, why now? Why now? But I think it happened right at the end of the year, right? Do you have the and
I
like,
think it was December 30th, I believe it was.
so that's where I'm wondering, like, New Year. So, like at the end of the year, people are looking back over their life. Do you know it? They're looking back over their year, and um people that aren't safe, sometimes they so for me, if for some reason my husband didn't want to be married anymore, like I wouldn't make him stay. Like that's not a safe relationship. And if he moved on and he was happy, because I'm gonna move on and be happy too. Like I wouldn't do anything to him because he's happy. But there are people that project how they feel onto other people, and they don't view people as people. It's very much like an object to be possessed. Like if I can't have you, nobody can have you. If I can't be happy, you can't be happy either. I'm The children will be emotionally harmed because we don't know for sure if one of them woke up, like heard any screaming, or like we don't know. The children are very young, so they wouldn't be able to testify to it or anything. But my heart breaks for the kids because we talk about them not being physically harmed, but they lost their parents. And my heart really goes out to that family.
And that's the thing when you sit there and think, especially like from the perspective of like now being older,
Mhm.
and it's like, and again, I think the kids were 4 and 1, so this is a pretty young age, but nonetheless, their entire life trajectory has just changed. Like everything about it, you lose both of your parents. I don't know where the kids are right now. If a family member had, like, I don't know any of that part. And hopefully they're with a loving family member and all that. But regardless, it's like mom and dad, because that's one thing that Spencer's sister was saying, like, they were parents first, both Mo'Nique and Spencer, and how great they were at, like, "We wanna practice for kids, like, we're gonna come be with your kids, we're gonna come," that was just, like, front and center in their lives and their household, and you can tell, I mean, I'm also judging a book by its cover, like, with their wedding photos and the pictures of them, but, like, they had such this infectious personality that it shines through to where you're like, "I wanna be around these people." You know what I'm saying? Like, I want that energy. And so I'm thinking like,
Mhm.
okay, what would a person who's completely, like, imbalanced and bitter over a breakup, how would they digest that same energy? Because it's like they had powerful energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I can only imagine what it was like in person. And also too, what do you think, you've kinda touched on this, but I'm gonna ask again or whatever. What do you think in the terms of how the divorce did seem to be just real smoothly, like, no kind of like, "Okay, here we go, it's done." Like, why do you think that was when years later he turns around and then kills her?
So I'm looking at a New York Post article, and it looks like a clerical error forced their divorce to be reopened in 2025. What? Because they had a trial date. Because I've heard people talk about a trial date in September, but that
Yeah.
might have been like a clerical error or something.
It
Um,
was, it was, and Ashley Banfield talked to the court,
yeah.
and they basically said that notices could have been sent out to both Mo'Nique and, what's his name, Michael.
I wonder if that would have given out her current address? I don't like because
I
it's
don't
just
know.
all of that is just so bizarre to me because, my thing is, like, let people be happy. Let people move on, but there's some people that just don't, and we may never know exactly why. Because he's pled not guilty, and I think he's gonna try to say, "It wasn't me." I don't know how he it's gonna that's gonna be a hard one. Good luck to his lawyer. As you said, his Ohio does have DP, and so, and I don't think we know yet if he's been, because it hasn't been assigned to a judge yet. So that's what we're waiting. We're waiting for the case to be assigned to a judge for those first dates. And because I think the state will have to file notice that they're going, if they are going for DP or not.
It'll be very interesting to see, like, what they initially go for, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
and then his attorney, like I said, she's pretty high power, pretty big
Mhm.
name, and how they frame that, because, again, just listening to it, and once we see all the evidence and all that type stuff, it might be a scenario of depending on which way they go, he's just hoping for a life without parole. That's the best you can hope for type situation, right?
'Cause
Because
I
yeah, how do you explain your way out of some of this stuff? You
and
know?
and I don't know if you can claim that you snapped. He drove over 325 miles. Both, like, that's just if that's not premeditated, I don't know what is.
I mean, I don't care how much rage I had, about 45 minutes into it, I would have been like, "Yeah, I fell asleep at the gas station and turned
I
around and came
I
back the
would
next
I would
day."
I would I would traffic. I would no. Like, you gotta come to your senses. You gotta make a better choice. Call a friend that's gonna help you calm down. This just feels senseless. And, like I said, I am glad that they are trying it as an act of, DV because I do think it was. Because sometimes because they got divorced back in 2017, some people would be like, "Oh, well, they weren't currently married, they weren't in a relationship, but, um, she was his ex." And, I thought the husband was pew-pewed more times because that seems like a lot of aggression towards him. Do you know what I mean? Because I think she was one time, and I think the husband, the current, so her Mr. Tepe, I think he was multiple times. And so, I could also see a very, um, sadistic person making her watch that. Do you know, like saying, "You caused me, if you hadn't," like, so I don't know what her last moments were like, and it really breaks my heart even trying, but I could imagine that that he would have targeted the husband first.
It makes sense, like, because oftentimes in these crimes too, like, pretend like we don't have the component of maybe he was, like, angry at the dude. It's like, take the male out first so you can perpetuate whatever crimes are left. But again, like you said, I think that, yeah, he definitely would have probably gotten some mental satisfaction of her seeing that, the rage he probably held towards him. And then I've seen some narratives about people saying, like, why did he leave the kids alive? Was it to perpetuate
Maybe
almost like
he's just not that
re-victimization?
evil. Maybe he's just not that evil. Like it
Yeah.
takes a certain kind of evil to a baby and because they were likely in their room, so they were likely in
Mhm.
cribs. Thank goodness they weren't in the bed because some people have their kids, and we don't know for sure. But I'm guessing that they were in their room. Do you know? Like we don't, but I'm guessing they weren't in the bedroom. Um, but and I don't know what she pleaded to. I don't know what she said because in that moment as a mom, I would be pleading for my child. Like, me too, possibly, him, but, like, I was like, so I don't know, um, what because it's a certain kind of monster to do that. Now, you shouldn't do any of those things at all, but, like,
That's another level with the children if he had gone there,
and that's also a sadistic thing because you now have you now have 2 surviving victims
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that, like
Now
the, like, if he's convicted, that he took their parent,
Mhm.
and that just causes more harm.
And it'll be curious too to see him. We just saw him in the recent court hearing, which was like a minute, right? It was very quick. And he does seem like flat affect, no emotion, whatever. But again, we're just now meeting this guy. You know what I'm saying? So as this winds its way through the court systems, if it makes it to trial, all these things, what type of behavior will we see out of him? Will we continue to see this? Because his face, the way his expression is very scary to me.
Mhm.
There's nothing really there, like, and I'm also looking at him in 2 contexts of, like, what would this guy be like doing a doctor consult with my health in his hands versus, now we know, well, he potentially has, if he's convicted and proven that he's a killer, he has this side to him, and it's like, okay, this coldness just exudes from him. Um, go ahead.
And I don't know if he was ex-military but he just gives off this, like, and I don't know this for sure, but he gives off a raised by Marine vibe, and I don't know, but he just gives off this vibe that's just because he's very, like, straight, and, I
He
don't
has
think
to.
he'll show much emotion. I think he's gonna try to say the state has to prove it, and he's gonna
Mhm.
try to plead not guilty. I don't think he's gonna plead insanity or any of that. Um, um, yeah.
Well, also, one thing I saw people commenting on in the comment section is like the physicality of his face, like the squareness and how he looked a little bit different from one photo to the next or whatever. I saw a lot of people making commentary on oh, this is roid rage, this is this, I don't think again, some of this will come out, you know, we don't know if he is like hopped up on roids, whatever. I think that I don't know enough about that to be like, yeah, that would push him for 8 years later and 5 hours down the road, or I don't know.
And this was so targeted to a specific person that was 300 more than 300 miles away. So to me, a roid rage would be like, but like 300 miles, I couldn't see it for that long. Sometimes steroids can increase aggressiveness for some people. Just that feeling, it can increase feelings of rage for some people. But to me, it might have been like I don't know how happy he was with himself, because maybe he was very much about his appearance and how he looked, but, there's no such thing as a murdery face, but, like, his if I was on the jury, I now you can't convict based on how somebody looks, but I would, like, he looks scary to me, but no such there are people 'cause, what was it? One of the favorites for us to chat about, um, the one with the fake FBI agent, Casotis. He didn't look scary to me. he didn't look scary, but he was vicious. Like he was, ooh, he was
Frightening. Yeah.
of something very scary. And so I always like to point that out.
Yeah, and I agree with this dude. That's why I'm like, I wanna see him animate. You know what I'm saying? Like, even just in a conversation of like, is there anything like, "Hello, is anything there?" Like, can we get a little smile? Can we get this? Can we see he does have that very militant, just, you know,
But
10 and 2 on the steering wheel. We're looking dead ahead. There's nothing here.
but what was going on in December? Did you hear about the Florida woman, Susan Avalon, 51
Mm,
years old, and she unalived her two ex-husbands the same day. Like that was like because
same day.
the police came and they were like, "We're here to talk to you about your ex-husband." And she said, "Which one?" Yeah,
She
that's a
said,
case.
"Which one?" That's wild. She was
Um,
like, "I'm done. I'm cleaning house. New year, new me. Take me to jail."
so I guess there were child support disputes, but now you're gonna be in jail. Like the child support dispute doesn't go away. Like what in the world? You don't do these things, people. It's just easy to not do crimes. So
It blows my mind when they talk about there's a money motivation, and I understand, like, a lot of them, they don't think they're gonna get caught, but it's like, in my world, I'm like, did we think of what would happen if the expense of getting caught and the rest of our life is behind bars?
she was so bad at crime because like she was caught, I think, the next day. She did it on December 17th. The next day, she was arrested.
I mean, fresh out of the gate, but I think, like you said, it's the end of the year, it's the holidays. The holidays, let's just say, the end of the year, like quarter into the new year, it really can get in people's heads
Like,
on many levels.
let it go in your mind, not like in real life. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, there are some relationships that aren't healthy, but I'm not going to think about that next year, or I'm gonna go to therapy, but what? That was a hard one.
Yeah, that's like one of those, like, write a letter and send it to yourself, like, just go through all the things. It's okay. You don't have to act them out, though. Like, we don't have to do all that.
And to think about other people. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, yes, you are this upset at them, but, like, her kids will have to live with the fact that she did that to their dad. This vascular surgeon, he's he's too high profile of a case. For some reason, I don't think a jury is gonna find him not guilty. There's too much evidence. Why did he drive back and forth from that part of Illinois to Ohio? Like, there's absolutely no reason I can think of, because I because they'll probably try to track, any stops he made, and so we'll probably be seeing, like, if he stopped at a gas station, we'll probably be seeing all of that digital evidence coming in. I've
Mhm.
heard that they might make his trial go fast so that the state doesn't have more time to collect more evidence. Because the longer the trial goes, the state, because that's more time for for data to be analyzed. And so I
Mhm.
did hear an attorney talk about that. They might try to make things go quickly, because that's why the DP was taken off for Lori Vallow. Um, she wanted a fast trial and didn't want to delay, and I think the state wasn't ready or something. But yeah. Mhm.
I also wonder with him, hold on, you said something that made me think when I ask you another thing. Something I've seen people talking about with it. Oh, well, one thing that I've seen is about people who kind of knew the Tepes and whatnot, and saying that, or knew they crossed paths with people all in these circles or whatever. And that he apparently had been keeping tabs on her, like asking about her, like, have you heard about them? Because apparently they kept a low social media profile because maybe of him or whatever. And so they're asking, like, or he's asking, just the way you do, like, so, what's Mo been up to, or how are they doing, or that type thing, or whatever. And so, like you mentioned earlier with the digital evidence, like, was he driving by there way before this and whatnot? I would almost want to put money down that if we get to the point in this case where we get to see that stuff, that they would find out, like, oh, so on a however regular basis, once every 3 months, whatever, that he had more than once gone and done drive-bys and done something to see what life was like. Because if he couldn't access them on social media, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like enough to see, clearly his curiosity was enough to be like, what's going on here? And then another question to pose to you, like your opinion, whatever. So pretend that he goes to trial, pretend he's convicted, he gets life without parole, whatever. Do you think people that do things like this or are capable of whatever,
Mhm.
that they are like he would in 10 years be like, it was worth it. I proved my point. It was worth it. I won. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that like a component of that?
Um, and that's where I don't think in a situation like this, there can be a win because he might have saw it that way, but, I don't. Like, I can never see it that way. And there's some people that they don't care. Like their life is just so miserable where they just don't want somebody else to be happy. Maybe she was that long lost love, but then do better. Like don't and move on. Don't grow, make some personal change, but, you can't go and ruin somebody else's life. I see people in the chat mentioning that he might have been, adopted, and I don't know that for sure. I did Google it real quick, and he might have been adopted as an infant, but, once again, I don't think that's where healing any hurts or wounds, so any fears of abandonment, any fears of rejection, those are things that people can work on. You can't go and harm people. So,
For sure. Yeah. And I don't have any confirmation about the adoption thing. I don't know if there's other channels that, they do these
okay.
like super deep dives and like we talked to the neighbor's gardener's sister, and we found out all this tea or whatever. Like I don't know yet.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that part of me with these cases is so interesting in the beginning because they happen, they explode all over the place. And it's like everyone's talking and this happened and that happened and blah, 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 and then it slowly would come out. I think that we will hear, and I saw somebody earlier when you mentioned if like exes or former dating partners had spoken, somebody dropped it in the comments of an ex of his went on TikTok.
Okay.
If you're still in the comment section here and you know what that is, drop their at because I guess I can try and find it. I would love to go look at that because we'll start seeing this as we do with most of these cases where people will speak out that want to. And like you said, these are so sensitive because even if you like, I look at my own experiences and, with past relationships and things like that. I've never been in a DV situation, knock on wood, nothing like that. But there are certain things that happen in relationships where even it's like, oh, I wouldn't want my family to know this, or oh, I'm embarrassed that I let somebody run over me like this, or so I'm sure when you get into true levels of this person caused me physical harm, this person did really bad stuff that
Mhm.
I didn't tell anybody, and I don't want somebody to know that, like, for whatever reason, right? I mean, we all process our own stuff. So there
Mhm.
might be people that went out with him that they don't want to put themselves out there like that, especially now with it being all over the headlines. And they're like, I don't want the whole internet coming to ask me questions.
And I wouldn't say anything until his case was settled because I wouldn't wanna come forward and say something, and he's, among the rest of us, and so because I do not think he'll be released on bail because he crossed states to do the thing. Because we talk about flight risk because he's not gonna be able to return because, like, I don't know if he has any roots in, um, Ohio because I don't think they would want him to leave the state. And so I think he's gonna stay exactly where he is, and we, um, don't because with what he's convicted of, sorry, what he's charged with, um, I personally would have concerns. Is there somebody else on like, does he have a list or something? Do you like, "Nah, you just stay right here and we'll do the trial," and, because it took a while for them to find him. So, like, once they knew they were looking for him, I think it took some time. Like, it wasn't like it was the same day he turned himself in.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was hiding.
yeah.
Well, not hiding, but like he went back to Now, I don't know if you've heard of this. I'm going to kind of jump over here and I'm asking you in the chat. I have seen one post about this that allegedly, and again, sofa speculation zone, we don't know this is fact. We're asking everybody that he performed a surgery after the unalivings and that person has since passed away. I don't know if that's true. I can't find anything on it. I can't see a factual thing. But I saw it on a Facebook post from somebody and I'm like, because imagine the patients that are slowly coming out. They're like, he worked on me 2 days before this. Because I'm like, what was he like like in your doctor out? Like, what was he like as a patient?
And
Right?
surgeons. So there are certain professions where, so to me, narcissism is a lack of real ego. Like it's a fragile ego. And sometimes surgeons can think they're the best, that they're nobody, I don't know. Like sometimes surgeons, uh I've heard nurses talk a lot about surgeons having a big ego. That, if a patient questions one thing, that poor, like the surgeon might, get upset with the patient or different things like that. Um, uh, Vascular surgery is a very like that is a specialty. I have a friend whose husband, I think he's a cardiologist. Like he's a specialty doctor. And there's some fields where the work they do is risky and sometimes patients do have things happen. But if it was my doctor and I find and my family member, or if it was my family member's doctor and somebody passed, the family may be looking into what legal options they have. If they might look over the surgery, did anything happen that wasn't supposed to happen? Because in a surgery, it's not just the surgeon. Like the people in the room would know if he did something that was malpractice, if he did something that was like against what should have happened. But yeah. Those are my thoughts. I can't diagnose him. I'm not saying he's a narcissist. I'm just saying a lot of the facts here. That's the first thing that kind of comes to my mind is those types of traits where there's gaslighting, where there's possession, people are viewed as objects and not actual people, projection of how they think and feel, that fragile ego. Um, um, yeah.
Well, also when I was rewatching the his most recent hearing in Ohio, pardon me, and his attorney was like, I forget how she said it, so I'm just gonna say it in my own words. She said, we have willingly said we don't want bond right now, but we hold the right to ask for it later. Almost like in the terms of, you know, she knows it's gonna look better for him, almost like we don't even wanna get out right now, right? It's like, you just need to stay right where you're at. You ain't going nowhere anyways. It's gonna look better on you if you say, "We're not even trying to do that. We're just gonna sit here. We're gonna hang tight," you know, and just go from there.
Because so now, if he had known they were looking for him and he immediately turned himself in, he agreed to not practice surgeries. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's gonna be because of how everything went down and the fact that he had to be found and yeah, I don't think they are um going to I don't think he'll be out on bond. I think he'll be there until his trial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's like and also that tells me too, if he was like, "Well, I'm just gonna go back and do my thing and kinda, whatever," he was either thinking he was gonna get away with it, or he was like, "I'm just gonna wait till they come to my door and pick me up, like, and just, it's gonna happen, so here we go." Because I always question that, did they think they could get away with this? And a lot of times the evidence will show us truly if they did think that, or if it was just you know, whatever, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Or if they were just stupid.
And let me go back. So not all surgeons are narcissistic or have those types of traits. So that was a very much a generalization. Do you know what I mean? So just because somebody is a police officer doesn't mean that they are that. But there are certain professions that attract certain personality traits, and I can promise you, because what makes a good surgeon, you want them to be confident. You don't want your surgeon walking in and being like, I don't. So what do you think? Like your surgeon normally is going to have a course of action. They're hopefully listen to you. But I know I had a family member whose surgeon was really, really hard-headed. Like, because we as a family were like, we don't think this medication is right. And he's like, this is what I do. Like, this is the medication I give. But now that medication caused complications. And so now we have that medication on. No, my family member is allergic to this. We will never let my family member, be given this medication again. And so uh because even in the therapy field, there are therapists that walk around with huge egos and don't listen to their clients and different things like that. So, but yeah.
Fun times. Yeah, you look at like CEOs and stuff like that where they say it's like, okay, that's a people like real high up in these companies. Oftentimes that attracts narcissism and like some of this stuff where it's like, but they benefit from the personality traits of someone with that because it's like they're going to be, cutthroat and this, and they're not thinking about people and they're doing this and great for business, spiritually, other type stuff like that. Not so great.
Because
And
yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. That's it.
Because someone asked if I personally thought he felt bad about what happened. And so right now he said he's not guilty. So now if he was pleading to it or something, like if he was coming forward, but he is going to take his legal right to have a trial. And we'll see where things go with that. But there are certain people that unfortunately can do horrific things and they may not feel bad about it. So I don't think Sarah Boone will ever feel bad about what she did to George. She will forever see herself as the victim, and I don't think she'll ever say I'm sorry or fully get what she did. So sadly there are some people that are like that.
Mhm. And we will be here talking about them on the sofa and on the psych nerd sofa. What is it the psycho there or psychologists always have? Is it a chase lounge? It's like the thing where they show where people lay down on it. Do you have that in your logo or anything?
So I know that's always, I think that's a Freud thing where people think they lay down on the
Yeah.
couch or that they have the little chase lounge. And I think that's hilarious because I just have a regular couch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And rarely do clients lay down on the couch. Sometimes teenagers take a nap, like if they're exhausted, and we call it mindfulness. Let's go ahead and rest. We're gonna listen to some relaxing music, and they fall. It's not often, but every now and then.
I know, right? If I lay down at my therapist's sofa, because it's like always quiet, it's always 5 minutes, I'd be out. I'd be like, I'm just gonna pay you for an hour to have the best nap I've had in like forever, and that is therapy enough for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love every bit of it.
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do is we're gonna obviously keep following this. Now that he's been apprehended, he's been in court, all that. We'll probably see a little bit of a lull until we get more information and stuff starts coming out if they allow it out. We don't even know if they're going to seal stuff. It's still so very fresh,
Yeah.
right? But definitely I'd love to get together again on one of our conversations once we have more stuff, maybe hear from family members or people who know him or patients that are going to give us a little bit more insight into what exactly we were dealing with and how people were interacting with him. Just on an everyday basis. What was he like at the family, barbecue? I went out to, dinner 3 times with him and Mo'Nique when they were married, and this was his vibe. And all those little nuances that tell us kind of what make up a person.
Yeah.
And that's it. Do you have anything else you want to say before we head out and get ready for our snowy ice day or evening, I should say?
So thank you all for being here. And anything, uh, Paul is covering the Banfield trial, so make sure to check out. We'll see when that case goes back. If we get more than 6 inches of snow, everything is going to be closed. They've already canceled the federal government, so the federal government is already closed on Monday for Washington, D.C. area. And so I could see Fairfax. So Fairfax County normally goes with, it's called OPM, the Office of Personnel Management. And so I'm think we'll be lucky if they go back to court on Wednesday, and I have to come over to Paul, or I have to watch it with somebody that's going to keep me awake. I saw you in the comments on Court TV.
Oh yeah, yes. I'll pop in there sometimes to be like, because that was the day I heard that he's going to take the stand, and
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm like, of course I'm not streaming. I'm like, when's he going to be on the stand? When's he going to be in the stand?
And so he didn't confirm. So the judge just said, in order for certain jury instructions to be included, so in order to include the self-defense jury instruction, he has to take the stand. Yeah. So I think he has to take the stand because I think he's claiming that Joe did the thing to Christine, and I don't believe him, but he's claiming that, and then he's gonna say that he was defending, then he did the thing to Joe in self-defense, in defense of another, in self-defense.
Even if he didn't have that self-defense thing going, if I was him, I'd be like, I'd get on that stand and be like, okay, y'all, I'm gonna make some sense out of this hot mess that's just been taking place over the last week. Let me do a narrative style. I'm just gonna talk.
And I hope that he is happy with his lawyer. So so a little bit, I don't know this for sure. I feel like his lawyer is trying to lose the jury in the weeds. That somebody, because it's my understanding the jury is sitting back, they're yawning, the jury is not engaged as he's showing the expert, different slides, and it's not really, I don't think it's really changing anything. I also thought it was hilarious that his defense got some of the best evidence that the state didn't even get out.
I mean, literally, I was like, if I was him at a certain point, I would pull that attorney over. I'd say, wrap this up, rest the case immediately. Because he's the stuff that he gets him to say up there. I'm like, I would be falling out of my chair if I was him.
There were 3 things for me. It was the fact that the child, the day of or the day after, I think it was the day of or the day after the incident, the child asked Juliana to call her mom, and if she was going to marry her dad. Like one of the officers overheard that. The fact that, and it was the defense attorney that asked the open question of, why don't you think Christine did this? And he's like, really? Like, well, she never searched any adult websites. Like, you don't just go to this type of fantasy and you haven't researched Google, like you haven't done any of those other things. And then the last one was when it came out that those searches only happened when Juliana or Brendan was home, and Christine. It never, like when they were in New York, there were no searches. That's suspicious. And so we'll see.
Yeah, when they said the thing about the child asking, can I call you mom now and all that,
Yes.
I would have, I was like, this is bad. This is really, really bad. The jury had to be like, I'm done with these two, right? Completely done with them. And I think so much is going on with the defense attorney. I think, like you said, he's trying to get him lost in the weeds. He's in over his head. He's not up to date on the technology stuff. He's trying to prove something that he doesn't seem to know how to wrap it up very quickly and just sell it to him, because I think it's very hard to, the evidence when Juliana took the stand, there wasn't much to say to that other than just tuck your tail and be like, I'm sorry, I'm a crappy person.
He brought in the Netflix or like the different deals with people, and that might have the jury look at her credibility a little bit. But I do think her testimony helped the state look at, wait a minute, let's look into the windows. Wait a minute, we didn't realize she was at the other end of the cul-de-sac. Like she isn't on any videos. She wasn't in the driveway waiting, and that Brendan was the one. because to me, the defense made Juliana look like she wasn't that smart, but that makes his client look like the mastermind. And so we'll see what happens with that one. But
I felt like if the defense had honed in on a few key things with Juliana, like I would have been like this. I would have started off with, what's this Netflix thing we're talking about? If he had honed in on just those things, he could have made her look very slimy, which at the end of the day, it's like that's already done. She assisted in killing 2 people and has been like, yes, I did this. So it's like I would have highlighted those things and then not really gone much into it. But he's tried to do something with 70 different text messages that was just like, what are we doing? And again, the jury, I mean, these are working people. They have lives, they have families, they have whatever. And it's like, and a snowstorm's coming. And at a certain point, it's like, you're wasting our time. Like, you're wasting our time. Like, this is insulting. And the judge told him that yesterday or whatever it was, and she said, and quite frankly, mine too. Bless his heart. Were you watching when his computer shut down? And he said, I think I'm having a power issue.
You have to plug it in.
Honey, I fell out of the chair. I was joking. I said, oh, watch, his computer went to sleep. He froze and looked at me. I think I'm having a power issue. Computer had turned off. I said, I fell out of my chair, screaming, laughing. He had to get somebody else to bring the other witness to bring his computer up there. It was so on par. I was like, I can't, y'all. We're not streaming this tomorrow. I was like,
it was painful. So I kept going back and forth. I would have it on 2 times speed. Like I couldn't watch it real time because it was just read this message, read who all, like it was so painful. And then the voice expert. So I don't know. It sounded like there's a grunt in the back of a 911 call. And who are we? What? So I wonder if I don't know what they're going to try to say that was. Like I don't know how that's going to help. But the guy in Tennessee is going to get to come back on whatever court comes back, probably via online. But it was so much.
It's so much. I've never looked so forward. And so many people say the same thing where they're like, I'm not gonna watch it, but it's like I can't look away now because it's so bad and so cringy. And like, I adjusted my volume to where I was just talking over it, and I was like, we're just kind of hanging out at this point. Usually, I don't like to talk over the court because I want to hear what's happening. And I'll talk when they stop or whatever. At this point, we were just talking and laughing and joking. I was like, we're all like, just giggling and having a good time cutting up because I was like, I've not seen anything like this where, and I was talking to somebody, I said, I do feel like people have been, and I'm talking about the judge, the witnesses, they have been respectful because I do think there's a level of like, go ahead before you go ahead.
Talk about Detective Miller though.
Those faces. He's like, yeah, I did that. And then he'll look at the jury sometimes too. He's like,
so for anybody watching, there was a technology expert that was kicked off any other homicide crime ever. Like the boss was not happy. The boss retired magically, but that's a whole other conversation. But this guy on the stand, because I thought Juliana might have lost her emotions a little bit too much, but even this guy is looking at him like, because the defense attorney is showing people emails and being like, what was happening? So if you showed me an email from 2 years ago I might not remember like what was happening or but it made Juliana look more credible. So this guy not being able to remember some stuff, this guy not because I don't know why he kept bringing him back because it didn't help. Every time he brought him back because I think he wants that guy to say they fired me because I was right. But he made a mistake. He shouldn't have said Christine was definitely the person that was using the device.
100%. He's trying to get him to say the thing, and he won, and he brings him up there. And again, I mean, bless the jury's heart. They don't have their phones. They're not anything to be distracted with. But we'll be here, and I'm literally like, wait, what are we? Why is he here? Why is this person here again? What are we doing here? And I feel like the jury has to be doing the same thing eventually, just like nodding off eventually. Like,
And
what are we doing?
I wanted to have like a free Detective Miller. Like let's just please release him from his subpoena. Please just release him.
When think about that with the weather and everything, and now this is now the jury's going home to sift on all of this. So imagine you're Brendan, right? Imagine you're him for a second. The jury's gonna go home and sit on this, and it could work to his benefit on one level of like they're gonna sit there and be like, well, and they're gonna forget about it. All their kids are home, it's icy, it's this, and then we're gonna come back, and either Brendan's gonna take the stand, and let me tell you what, that man better have a good story. Go ahead.
The defense still has more witnesses.
Stop.
I think he still has no lie. So
Stop.
he's not done with that technical person. He
No.
has the audio guy, and I think he has one more witness. Because he's calling every detective in the department. So during his closing, he can say they made up that it was a catfish theory from day one, and they only looked at evidence. Like he wants to be able to say something like that in his closing, but it is, and they were prepared for a 4-week trial. Okay, so they originally said it was going to be 4 weeks. It's barely been 2. And so it'll be fine. Everything will be fine, but it is incredibly painful.
His defense is like, look, I already budgeted out. I got next month's mortgage counting on this, whatever. We're getting some OT.
You know, Brendan's mama's probably paying the bill.
That's why there was one thing where the defense attorney, he was at the podium, and he did this number right here. He's like, he took his glasses off. He's like, and then he went back to his computer, and I was like, stop. I was like, he's messing with us now. He's working that time clock. He's working that time clock. He must have one going over here. He's like, I need 10 more minutes today, y'all. I just got that new Mercedes out front. You know, we got to do something in here. But also, too, where did he find this lawyer? What made him or his mom or whoever hired him say, this is the guy for you?
I've thought about, what if Juliana got the good lawyer?
Oh, yeah. That's right. I didn't think about that.
Because remember?
Yeah.
Juliana had a lawyer first. And then they couldn't have a lawyer. So a lawyer at the same firm or anybody that had touched Juliana's case couldn't touch his. So they're like, you have to rule out conflicts and stuff. And this guy, he's not a bad lawyer. I think Brendan is happy. So I think Brendan wants him to ask certain questions. I think Brendan wants certain evidence to come in. I don't think this is just his lawyer, because Brendan looks as happy. Like he doesn't look like he's like coming over and be like, hey, let's stop this. Let's cut it. Like,
I wonder, have you caught Brendan doing this number? I mean, he's dramatic when he wipes his tears. He uses his whole hand. He's like a 5-year-old where he's like, can I have another cookie?
I think that's why they wanted to play the rest of the body cam. So I think the state cut it when he was told that she was deceased. Like, I think I don't think that part played the first time. So I think he wanted the jury to see his reaction to being informed. Okay. But like, you went to the hotel with your lover and your kid is calling her mommy now. Like, I don't feel bad for you. I don't feel bad for you. I don't at all.
I mean, the pictures are there on the bedside table, the whole night. It's so gross. It's so gross, you know? And I'm just like, I'm like, do we know if they offered him a deal? Do we know that or not? Does anybody know?
So I think Juliana got one because this was so heinous, and because they didn't charge her with the child harm allegation, because he was the one, and Juliana's the one that brought the child back. Like, both of them technically left the child in the basement, but Juliana only pled guilty to Joe. So she had one count of manslaughter. They got rid of the charge against Christine, I believe.
Just a terrible,
Right.
terrible, terrible way to die. Bless her heart when they stormed in that room. Well, first of all, when Joe came in because she didn't know who this guy was. But then when the realization where she's like, do this, just and her husband gets on top of her and starts stabbing her to death. The things that had to go through her mind, and then seeing what's her name, Juliana, and the same, just I mean, I just can't imagine those being your final moments. It's one thing I think with all these cases we cover,
Yeah.
what those final moments were like,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm even scared of just a natural. I've been in a hospital with, a natural whatever when I'm 85, let alone something that traumatic and frightening and scary. And her thinking, where's my kid? Where's this? Nothing makes sense, and still living for a little bit. And then Joe, whatever took place with him when he turned around, is like, what's going on? It's just evil. Both him, Juliana, and him. I mean, evil, right? It's just, yes, I like the side eye that she gave the defense attorney because we all felt that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, where she's just like, you know,
I was done.
I was done.
Dramatic. Took off those glasses and just looked at him.
Those girls in the unit got the tea that night, right? It was good. It was good. When they took her back to that bullpen, she was like, y'all have no idea what I've just been through.
And that's what, so I feel like a lot of the other witnesses, they kind of breathe through the defense, like through him asking repetitive questions, but Detective Miller let it show. He let it, because he was confused. He's like, I don't know what you're asking me. And he's like, and multiple, like, I don't know.
And
I don't know.
Pardon me. Excuse me. I can't think of her name, but she was on the stand and he kept trying to ask her a question. And this lady, and she was being very nice. And she's like, I want to answer your question, but I don't know what you're asking me. And I'm not trying to not answer it. And it's just, it was a sentiment that I think came from so many people where they were like, I don't understand what you're trying to ask or why you're asking it. Like, I want to work with you, but how did we get here and how do we get out of where we're at? Because we're stuck in a mud puddle. We're just spinning tires.
Normally, the defense, so if it's their witness, they would normally get to like meet with them beforehand. It does sound like there were preliminary hearings where they were able to ask some questions at different, times, but it was so painful. So
Completely. We should try and plan something after this wraps up, like for all of us. Like me, I don't know if Tanika's been following this. But it'd be fun to like all get on a live and just like just dish, right? Yes. So yeah. So well, let's call it good. Let's go get ready for this ice apocalypse, 2026 snow apocalypse, depending on what part of where you're at. We're getting the ice here. I don't think we're getting snow.
Okay.
It's mostly just ice. So I'm like, oh, great, lovely. So we'll see. But anyways, thank you once again for coming and hanging out and making my day and making the Sofa Squad today. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and your family to come chill on the sofa. And that's it. Thank you, Dr. Barry. Have a good one. Thank you, Sofa Squad. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Psych nerds, everyone involved. We will see y'all on the flip side. Y'all take care and have a wonderful evening and stay safe and warm out there.
The pillows are fluff thanks to Miss Emily. The couch is wide enough. Join the family. It's all love while we laugh at first criminalities. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup at hey, hey, hey. Come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh, please. The puppies need me. Oh, oh, please. My body is rejecting none of that fancy credential stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sip it from the cup and hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. Oh please, but puppies need me. Oh please, my body is rejecting none of that fancy credentialed stuff. I'm just here for the cringe binge. Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sip it from the cup that hey, 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 come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.